Good morning. Today I'm discussing about sampling. The population is the entire group that you want to draw conclusion about. The sample is the specific group of individuals that you will collect data from. This is the whole population. It's the sample. Sampling frame. The sampling frame is the actual list of the individuals that the sample will be drawn from. It should include the entire target population. For example, in your company, 1,000 employee, your sampling frame is the company's HR database. There are two primary types of sampling methods, probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Probability sampling involves random selection, allowing you to make strong statistical inference about the whole group. Non-probability sampling involves non-random selection based on the convenience or other criteria, allowing you to easy to collect data. Probability sampling. Probability sampling method means that every member of the population has a chance on being selected. It is mainly using quantitative research. Simple random sampling. In a simple random sample, every member of population has equal chance of being selected. Simple random frame should include the whole population. In the whole population, chance have equal chance for selection. For example, you want to select a simple random sample of 1,000 employees of social media marketing company. You assign a number to every employee in the company database from 1 to 1,000 and use the random number generated to select 100 numbers. Systematic sampling. Systematic sampling is similar to simple random sampling, but it is usually slightly easier to conduct. Every member of the population is listed with a number, but instead of randomly generating numbers, individuals are chosen at regular intervals. For example, select it and select it again after 2, select it again after. In this example, after 2 members are selected. System. For example, from the first 10 numbers, you randomly select number 6 and you next you choose 16, 26 and 36, so on in the system after 10 members. Stratified sampling. Stratified sampling involves dividing the population into subpopulations that may differ in important ways. It allows you to draw more precise conclusion by ensuring that every subgroup is properly represented in the sample. In this example, in this sample, 2 types of strata. So here is 3 members, another 5 members. Selected only 1 from 5 members. I selected 1 from 3 members. Here is the one strata. That is, the sample involves dividing population into subgroups and allows the precise conclusion in doing that. ensuring that subgroups properly represented in the sample. Based on the overall population of the population, you calculate how many people should sample from each subgroup. Then you use random or systematic sampling to select sample from the each subgroup. From the stratified sample, first of all, you divide into strata, and your data you select by using either simple random method or systematic sampling method. For example, in your company, 1,000 total employee, 800 female, 200 male, you want to ensure that samples reflect the gender balance. You select 80 women and 20 men, the representative sample of 100 people. Cluster sampling. Cluster sampling also involves dividing the population into subgroups. But each subgroup should have similar characteristics to the whole sample. Instead of sampling individual from each subgroup, you randomly select entire subgroup. It is practically possible you might include every individual from each sample cluster. If the clusters themselves are large, you can also sample individuals from within each cluster using one of the techniques above. This is also called multi-stage sampling. For example, your office in 10 cities, but you have difficult to travel and use randomly sample the three office are your clusters. Non-probability sampling methods. In a non-probability sample, individuals are selected based on non-random criteria, and not every individual has a chance of being included. Non-probability sampling techniques are often used in exploratory and qualitative research. In these types of research, the aim is not to test hypotheses about a broad population, but to develop an initial understanding of small or under-researched population. Convenience sampling. A convenience sample simply includes the individuals who happen to be most accessible to the researcher. Convenience sampling are the risk both sampling bias and selection bias. The same data are collected in convenience. You were researching opinions about student support service in your university. So after each of your classes, you ask your fellow students to complete a survey on the topic. This is a convenient way to gather data, but as you only surveyed students taking the same classes as you at the same level, the sample is not representative of all the students at your university. Voluntary response sampling. Similar to convenience sample, a voluntary response sample is mainly based on ease of access. Instead of the researcher choosing the participants and directly containing them, people volunteer themselves, responding to the public online survey. Voluntary response samples are always at least somewhat biased, as some people inherently more likely volunteer than others, leading to self-selection bias. For example, you send out the survey to all students at your university. A lot of students decide to complete it. This can certainly give you some insight into the topic, but the people who responded are more likely to be those who have strong opinions about the student support service. So you cannot be sure that their opinions are representative of all students. Purposive sampling, this type of sampling, also known as judgment sampling, involves the researcher using the expertise to select a sample that is the most useful to the purposes of the research. It is often used in qualitative research where the researcher wants to gain detailed knowledge about a specific phenomenon rather than make statistical inference, or where the population is very small and specific. An effective purposive sample must have clear criteria and rationale for inclusion. Always make sure to describe your inclusion and exclusion criteria and beware of observer bias affecting your arguments. For example, you want to know more about the opinions and experience of disabled students at your university. So you purposefully select a number of students with different support needs in order to gather a wide range of data, their experience with the student service. Snowball sampling, if the population is hard to access, snowball sampling can be used to recruit participants via other participants. For example, this is a researcher, he asks this person told him, asks this person. This is the snowball sampling. The number of people you have access to snowballs as you get in contact with more people, the downside is also representativeness, as you have no way to knowing how representative your sample is due to the reliance of participants recruiting others. This is also called sampling bias. You are researching experience of the homelessness in your city, since there is no list of people, all homeless people in a city. Probably sampling is not possible. You meet one person, you agree to participate in the research, and she puts you in contact with other person. For example, first you contact with person A, and person A, you contact with the person B, homeless people that she knows in the area. Quota sampling. Quota sampling relies on the random selection, predetermined number of proportion of the units. This is also called quota. This is the two types of uh, groups of groups. In this group have two quota. In this group have only one quota. You first divide the population into mutually exclusive subgroups called strata, and then recruit sample units until you reach your quota. These units share specific characteristics determined by you prior to forming your strata. The aim of quota sampling is to control what or who makes up your sample. You want to gauge consumer interest in new products delivery service in both focus on dietary performance. You divide the population into meat eaters, vegetarians, and vegans, drawing a sample 100 peoples. Since the company wants to cater to all the consumers, you set a quota of 200 people for each dietary groups. In this way, all dietary preferences are equally represented in your research, and you can easily compare this subgroup. You continue recruiting until you reach the quota of 200 participants for each group. Thanks for watching. That's it now. Bye bye.